From awkward to awesome, mastering the coaching chemistry call with Kushik Chatterjee. Okay, welcome everybody. Who's Kushik? He's joining us from Delhi, India. And he enjoys being a catalyst for change. He coaches professionals to unleash their potential, generate energy, sharpen skills, and execute in the zone. Clients say his curiosity, empathy, vulnerability, provocation, and persistence discover and inspire sustainable change for them. Most enjoy the purposefulness, rhythm, and humor in the journey they travel together. He said in the beginning, don't be too serious. So he has delivered more than 1,500 hours of professional coaching across 170 clients and more than 2,500 hours of facilitation over the last 8 years. His clients represent technology organizations like HCL, Inagram, Microsoft, Dell Technology, and many more. Some of his other clients have been professionals from Motilal Oswald, Tata Beverage, Cantor, Ernst & Young, SBI Cards, and wow, lots. A section of his clients wish to transit from a role, career, or industry, someone to kickstart a hustle, be self-employed, or turn an entrepreneur. His expertise is business, performance improvement, draws more business and sales leaders. Here he works with his clients in the area of improving conversations to connect, engage, collaborate, and influence in the context of sales conversation, executive presence, impactful presentation, and effective negotiation. He has several accolades, including the winner of Emerging Coach ICF Global Coaching Impact Award in 2024. He was the finalist in 2023. In his corporate experience of 22 years in HCL, Kushik led large businesses across products, services, and solutions. He has hands-on sales management, and PL experience in complex B2B sales, distribution, and retail business. He led the Toshiba mobile computing business to over 10% market share in a highly competitive landscape. He was the founder of HCL Career Development Center and expanded the greenfield to a large service business in 3 years. Over the last decade of the entrepreneurial journey, he has founded Career Clinic and personally guides undergraduates to enjoy careers. He also advises tech services companies on marketing and business development. Kushik has a bachelor's in engineering, electronics, and telecom, and a master in business administration, marketing. And he had also undertaken a doctoral foundation course on research. Kushik is based in Delhi. He volunteers into activities that support his creative, social, and spiritual ambition. Okay, so he's gonna give us his LinkedIn if you want to give reviews. So welcome, Kushik.
Thank you, Satya.
To have you here.
Thank you. I think that was a very long introduction. The lesson that I learned is I have to shorten my LinkedIn profile for sure.
Okay.
So good day to everybody. And I see quite a lot of you. Good afternoon, good evening, and good evening, a very late good evening to my friends from India. So I'm just going to put up my slides, and we would like to make this a little interactive. So please feel free to raise your hands, and Tatiana and Katya has promised that they will intercept and take up your questions. So firstly, I must acknowledge with a lot of gratitude the privilege that I have got to speak in this forum from the International Coaching Week and conducted by the ICF South Florida chapter. Just an hour back, we had a celebration in the Delhi chapter, and there was a lot of sharing of experiences, a bit of entertainment as well, and some bit of education. So, so fresh from that evening, I'm here talking to all of you guys on a subject that's close to my heart. So I'm a sales turned business turned entrepreneur guy who got me into coaching about 8 years back. Initially, when we got in this, I was overwhelmed by the tribe of people, the coaches, very learned, deep psychologists, practicing NLP professionals. And there I was like a sales and the business guy, and did I landed in the wrong space? But I started to leverage what I knew a little more into this practice, and that has yielded results for me. And that's the reason I was able to quickly catch my coaching practice, both from individual clients as well as institutional clients, maybe using whatever I learned in my earlier assignments from the sales and business experiences. So today we're going to talk about the coaching chemistry call. And just to put things in perspective, my understanding of a chemistry call is where, if it's an individual, he is looking for coaches, and hence he's having conversation with multiple coaches to check if the coach is a right fit for them. If it is an organization, they have mandated coaching, they have got a pool of coaches, ICF certified, and they are now giving options to their clients, to their managers and executives to choose from a set of coaches. So a coaching chemistry call, to set the perspective, is a call where there is somebody interested to be coached, but yet had not finally chosen the coach. And here we are, here all of us are in the room facing that client, and we are in a chemistry lab. And I really wonder why it is called a chemistry lab, and why not an engineering lab, why not a robotics lab? Because there's something that happens inside this lab, and which takes us from being awkward, clumsy, not knowing the client, finally ending up into a zone where it's awesome, transformed, and the client says, I want to go along with you. So think of the old school chemistry labs, and I'm sure the labs have not changed. Two beakers, you have gold in one, and you have water in the other. So what happens? There's no reaction. Gold is an inert metal, so when placed in water, it does not react. There are no bubbles, no color change, no hit, nothing. So in the chemistry lab, there is no reaction. So what does that mean? You are one of the beakers as a coach, and your client is the other beaker in the client, in the form of a client. You are in a call, and the chemistry does not match. Isn't that awkward? Isn't that a situation where, just like gold and water, you are present together, but the conditions aren't right? Maybe there's no trust, no clarity of intent, maybe no safe space. So although you are proximal, you are closer to each other, that wasn't enough. So something else matters. Think of the same chemistry lab, a set of new beakers, and think of a situation when two molecules of hydrogen react with one molecule of oxygen. Go back to our classroom days. So what happens? There is a reaction. We all know this. There's a spark, there's an energy. They combine vigorously to form water, a stable, a pristine liquid that fills up 3/4 of our planet. It's life-giving. The reaction is exothermic, which means it releases a lot of energy. The output is clean. It creates something completely new and meaningful from the interaction of the two. So How do you feel when this reaction happened? Awesome. Why do we feel so? When conditions are right, the conversation becomes that spark, that catalyst, that reagent that helps combine the client's potential and your presence, the coach's presence, to generate a significant transformative journey, to at least initiate that journey where the client is able to appreciate the impact of coaching and is willing to agree to hire you and enroll you in your coaching program. So why does this awkward and awesome things happen? And to do this, let's understand the concept of something that is very core to a customer's preference, to a client's preference of choosing a service. And if we do that, in that journey, we will become moving from the awkward to the awesome in our chemistry call. So before that, there's a little poll question for all of you, and you can type it into the chat. There are some numbers given. The question is, in your experience, how would you describe a coaching chemistry call? Is it primarily a sales call? If that is so, please type in 1 in the chat box. Or is it clearly a coaching call? Or is it more sales, less coaching, vice versa? Or option 5, is it a blend of sales and coaching?
We have a 1, a 4, a 5, 5, 5, 5, 5.
So it looks like the 5 takes it out. It's a blend.
That's the one that won. Yes.
So this, I guess, I think most of us across the globe perceive it the same way. And that's where coaches has to appreciate that there is a requirement of sales acumen when they step up in those conversations. So if that be so, let's look at the reasons. And irrespective of, let me add this, irrespective of whether it is a sales call or a coaching call, one thing that's for sure, the mantra is it's all about them and not about us. It's all about our clients and not about us. Significantly, there's a lot of similarity between coaching and selling. In both of it, I experienced that there is a need of the customer or the client in this case to shift from a current state to a state of new reality. And in both of this, there has to be trust, there has to be inspiration, and there has to be influence to make this move. So in a way, coaches may hate to become sellers, and sellers may say that I'm not a coach, but there's a fantastic communion between these two disciplines, and I'm sure there are a lot of work that's happening around. But I'm overjoyed to see that how the baseline objective of both the functions are primarily to help the customer make a shift, a radical shift, a seismic shift, and a shift that can have an impact and a measurable ROI. So it's all about them and not about us. So let's understand this concept of value proposition. Maybe just take a minute and try to define this, put your view of what is your understanding if you have a client and the client says, hey, coach, what is the value proposition that you bring for me on the table? So what is value proposition? Can you attempt a shorter definition of this, or how do you understand value proposition? Since it's a small group, we can always choose to unmute and call it out also. No worries.
I'll go, Kushik.
Okay.
I think it's what is the differentiator that you're gonna give me regarding all the universe of coaches? What is that unique value you bring if I hire you as a coach?
Brilliant. Absolutely on the dot, Katya. And maybe you got about 80% of it. I'm just going to lend another 20% of the perspective and see if that happens. What you said is, from the universe of coaches, ICF has about 60,000 certified coaches, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Each one of us have access to at least 5, 6, 10 ICF certified coach as a client. So what is that significantly is different being offered by a coach A from a coach B? I got this beautiful and very sucking definition of value proposition. I just wanted to share it along with you. It says, value proposition is a collection of reasons why clients enroll. Somebody may enroll because the coach is from the same city. Somebody may enroll because the coach worked in the same organization that I'm working. Somebody may enroll that the coach has a sales or an entrepreneurial background. Somebody may enroll because she is an ECC or an MCC. So if you look at the menu of reasons, it is widespread. And the trickiest part of it is there is no fixed menu. What, Katya, you choose as the menu, as the reasons of your choices, is a little different that maybe Elias will be choosing or Tatiana will be choosing. So if we need to put a structure to that menu or the collection of reasons, how does that look like? And here is a metaphor of a tripod. Let's say it's a tripod with 3 legs. Now, 3 legs represent 3 themes. One of the theme is resonate. So as a client, if you are a coach, do you resonate with me, or do I resonate with you? Do I connect with you? And then, Katya, as you said, the second theme is differentiate. Differentiate. And the third theme is substantiate. And we'll come into more details of this. Resonate is connection, differentiate is differentiation, substantiate is trust and trust. Right? So basically, a consumer, and this is science, it says, goes through 4 questions when the client buys a coaching session, or for that matter, any other services. Why should I act? Why should I say yes to Coach Kaushik? Why should I say yes to this chemistry call? And why should I say this now? Why not a week later? Let the war be settled in the Middle East, and whatever is happening, I will do then thereafter. So if I can help him address these 2 questions, I connect him or her as a coach, and that's resonance. Old physics classroom, resonance is when the 2 forks at the same frequency of vibration. The next question that any client will ask is, why you? Why Kaushik? Why Elias? Why Katya? Why you? Why not anybody else from the universe of coaches, as you said? And the 4th question they say is, hey, Kaushik could connect with me as a coach. I think he actually created that urgency that if I don't build my executive presence now, I may just be missing out on my next promotion. He also differentiated because I have I'm working in a sales or a business or an operations or a customer success background, and I see he also have a knowledge, he's speaking the same language as I am, but then am I going to be the first? Has he done enough coaching? Has he coached people like me from the continent? And I'm sure, especially look at when you do cross-cultural coaching, a lot of us may get the resonance right, may get the differentiation right somewhere. Maybe there's a cultural barrier that may also be, sort of the impacting on the trust part of it. So primarily, there are 4 questions that a client asks. Doesn't ask, doesn't articulate, but that's running at the background. Why should I act? Why should I move ahead with this coach? Why should I do it now? And why should I trust this coach? If these 4 questions are acted upon, obviously, you then can close the conversation and get the enrollment, which is a win. You can do so, and especially in the context of some of you who are coaching individual professionals, you can get the fees that you command, and you are also able to bring that loyalty. And I'm sure all of you have experienced that a coaching client gets another. There is reference that's happening. Now, why are we putting a tripod? The 3 legs. What happens if one of the legs become weak? The table flips. So let's see what happens when resonance is weak. When there's weak resonance, the client says, hey, Kaushik, thanks for your time. I think I'm a little ahead for the need of a coaching. I think I'll consider it at some point of time. In good, decent, etiquetted vocabulary, he says, I don't need you. If you're weak in differentiation, from that universe of coaches, why am I the chosen one for him or her? The clients will say, good, yeah, I think I'm looking at 2, 3 more coaches. So by the by, what's your best fee? So whenever there is price coming too early in the conversation, be very sure that you need to work more on differentiating yourself. And when connection, resonance was good, differentiation was good, but substantiation, you are not able to substantiate, whether in terms of your portfolios, your client testimonials, or in terms of maybe sharing some of the case studies, or even responding to an ROI question. The client says, looks to be brilliant. I think it should work, but maybe whatever, X amount of dollars, I just can't risk it with this guy. So primarily, when one of these 3 legs are weak, the sale, the conversion, the enrollment doesn't happen. But when resonance is strong, they say, I need coaching. Kaushik looks to be the best option, and I believe he will take me forward. And that is creating foundation for more enrollments for me at the choice of the fee that I charge, and also creates that loyalty and affinity. So if we can get the collection of reasons for a particular client and able to guess and predict to some means, and we will see what could be some of those possibilities. When we are in this chemistry call, we become the hydrogen, they become the oxygen, and the reaction happens. Else, there is distance, although we are in front of each other, whether in a room or a Zoom, but the reaction doesn't happen. So in your experience, and let's be truthful and honest to each other, how many clients sign up with you after the chemistry call? To put it very simply, what is your conversion rate after the chemistry call? And don't be afraid to put up any of this. We are all learning.
sorry, 554.
Okay. Okay. So it's about 40 to 50%.
5, lots of 5. 4,
Brilliant. Brilliant.
5. So it's between 5 and 4. No 1, 2, 3.
No 1 to 3. So high caliber coaches, you are almost hitting 50%. So if you have a chemistry call with 10 clients, you close 5. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Not from a coaching perspective, but from generally, a sales research says the best salesperson, the win rate internationally is 52%. And this is not a coaching research, but a general sales research. So guys, you rock. You are one of those best sellers, if I may use that word. So if that be so, there are still 50% of your clients who don't sign up. Right? And this is just a little anecdote that when I was inducted into coaching and did my coach training, my master coach says, I was clocking that point of time, maybe 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5 formative days. And he says, don't give up. Just show up. Let's play a game. Show up to hear more no's. Every time you declare a no, if you tell me 10 no's over the week, Kaushik, I give you a set of candies. And I was like very bemused because the first time somebody is going to reward me for more no's. And then he put up his mantra and says, you know why? Because yes lives in the land of no's. I really found this so beautiful and powerful. And this is what we call rejection recovery. But even if we focus on no's, we are sure that we will do it. So if we do 10 calls, we know we are closing 5. If we do 12, we still have 1 more customer. So the other part of it is how do we move from 10 calls to 12 calls and 20 calls? That's the other part of it. We'll not cover it in this session, but I'm sure that's an interesting topic to discuss. So 50% convert. What do the others do?
They say, some say probably later.
Sorry, can you say this again?
Oh yes, some say maybe later.
Maybe later. Okay. Okay. Okay.
There's a 4 there.
There's a 4. Yeah. Okay. So later. Okay. Okay.
4, another 4.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
4, 3, 3.
Okay. Wonderful.
Notice the multiple choice. Okay, 3. So this time it's between 3, express interest but do not commit, and 4, ask for more time to think. No 1 and no 2.
So what I learn is they do not go and explore other coaches. In this part of the world, we are sure that the clients also go and explore other coaches as well. When they say no to you, they are also looking for other coaches. So when that happens, you may be losing to competition. Big universe, Katya, you said, I will not be chosen. They may be choosing you, right? So that's losing to competition in a generic sense of term. I mean, we are all friendly neighbor, friendly community. We don't compete with each other, but we do compete with each other, right? However, the most interesting part of it is we do lose some coaching clients to no decision, right? And that's the 2 and the 3 and the 4 who doesn't sign up with another coach also. So how can we at least address this part of it? We accept that we will lose some of our clients to certain other coaches. That's the way. There are only maybe 100,000 coaches for a planet of 8 billion people, right? So we are the chosen one. So there's enough for all of us. Let's not worry on that. But what is worrisome is there are some clients whom we are not able to serve because they are moving away, not deciding. And that's something that as coaches in the chemistry call, what can we do differently? So here is this little framework, and I'm sure you may have come across this. Is if I need to move from awkward to awesome, can I take this trajectory of knowing my client beforehand, before I enter into the chemistry call, so that they start liking me during the conversation? And by the end of it, there is enough trust that has been established so that they do not leave the table with no decision. They may say that I will have one more chemistry call, that's fair, but they at least will not say that, let me think whether coaching is right for me. So we're just talking of this KLT framework: know, to like, to trust. It's a no-brainer that people like people. They tend to talk to people they like. People tend to buy from people they like. People tend to work with people they like, right? So how can we, first of all, know people? Okay, and here is a recent poll, and you did not respond. I have the figures out here. This is a global survey, and people were asked what percentage of people in the universe generally are trustworthy to you. What percentage of people are trustworthy? These are people who are strangers or who are acquaintances, but it's the universe of people. If there are 8 billion people, if India has a population of 1.4 billion, what percentage of those 1.4 billion are trustworthy? So likewise, the global survey said 30%. The same set of respondents were asked, what percentage of people that you know are trustworthy? That you know are trustworthy. Any guesses whether this will be going up, staying the same, or moving down?
Would go up for me.
Okay. Any other responses? Elias, what will be your choice?
Oh,
The only difference
I
is
know people that I know. Oh, I would say, I don't know, 90%.
wonderful. So it's going up. So globally, they said it is 70%. Now look at the magic. Just by knowing them, you are 40 percentage points higher. So the crux of it is, how can I know them even before I meet them?
Veronica thinks it would go up.
Absolutely. Because if you know them, it builds familiarity. We are all human beings, Homo sapiens, thousands of years. That has been our primal instincts. We like to talk to people I know, right? So how can I build familiarity? And I know we are a mixed wagon of coaches. Not all of us are very digitally savvy, but I'm just talking of a few hacks, which I'm sure all of you are using. All of us mostly have LinkedIn accounts, right? Katya, you read out my profile from the LinkedIn bio. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you gathered whatever you wanted to say from that piece. So before a chemistry call, definitely we can take a sneak peek at the prospective client's LinkedIn account. We can just do a Google search. If I Google search and say Google search Tatiana, something will pop up. And it's a very interesting exercise you can actually do. Each one of us will be. And when I do, I mean, I see that there are so many people of the same name. That's one. But when I say Kaushik Chatterjee coach, I actually see that I am the only one. And there are so many things because of some events, some webinars, some publications. There are so many assets and imprints that I have left on this world of internet. And it's so very heartening to see that you are appearing in so many searches. So likewise, your clients will also show up in certain searches. So get this piece of information, put it on a Word file or a note file, whatever you learn from LinkedIn, whatever you learn from Google, And then you put His Majesty, Mr. GPT, whether it's a chat GPT or anybody else, to service. So you take those inputs and then give it to GPT. That's your choice. Even without giving to GPT, you can form some insights. I can know somebody is a marathoner. I can know somebody is a cancer survivor, so on and so forth, because people are talking about it in their profile. The world has changed. I did an exercise and I put GPT into task. And I asked GPT, hey, I wish to connect with XYZ. He's a prospective client. His LinkedIn profile is such and such. Read the profile, the posts, and the recommendations. In LinkedIn, people write about people, they recommend. Right? You also write about other people. So read the recommendations carefully and then just share 5 keynotes in their language that will make the client mesmerized. And I put my own profile just for a test. And these are things that came up. These are things for me. So if I'm one of your clients, and if you're doing this exercise, you'll say, hey, Kaushik, you seem to have walked the path before lighting it for others. Your writing feels less like content and more like white conversation. I'm very intrigued to know more about it. That's a great conversation opener. And I then asked GPT down, if you see, hey, share some trivia about him. And it picked up some of my posts, some articles, and says, hey, Kaushik went to Bali, and he wrote a post, how to embrace life while in a rapid. Now, that's a great conversation connector. Even before I meet you, I know that you have visited maybe Colombia, and you have been into the serenic beauty of one of the cities that you really love to be there. So you get to have a digital forensics about a person, and that's ethical stalking, I may call it, because it's in the public domain, right? It's not offense. People are putting up, and I'm just intelligently taking it out. So with this, I now have certain amount of talking points to connect to people. So I know about them. I have built some familiarity about them. Now, how do I use this familiarity? And I move into like, the zone of being like. So how can I build rapport? I have now entered the chemistry call. You and I are in front, and I have used this piece, and I use this little framework called ease. And I use empathy. As coaches, we are all empathetic. And I say, hey, Tatiana, I just went through your LinkedIn profile, and this is something that pops up, that you are a fitness freak. And that you had been practicing fitness for the last 20 years is what it comes up. And I'm very intrigued to know why you talk about it. And that's a great open-ended question, which brings in a lot of authentic conversations. And maybe there is some similarity that you strike, and then you share your experiences. There may be somebody who comes up and says, yeah, we are both Indiana Lakers fans, NBA. Similarity, wonderful. There's a smile that I see. That's a similarity. And then maybe say, hey, you stay in the city, I also stay in the city. Hey, how about going to Friday's match together? That's a similarity. And that's much before the business part of the conversation has actually happened. You have started now liking each other. In that chemistry call, hydrogen and oxygen have started to like each other much more. And the reaction is now due. So this beautiful framework, it's very, very trivial, looks childish. We all do this just to put some sense. We say, hey, build rapport with ease. Right? Empathy, authenticity, similarity, and experience. Now, why this is important? We also need to understand there are different personas of people, right? There are different preferences of people. Somebody will be decisive, somebody will be relationship, somebody will be analytical, somebody may figure out consensus, some are skeptical, they don't speak out. And some say, hey, I am willing to bend the rules and getting into this. So I'll not go details into this. I will share this little deck. There are ways that we may use how to identify whether Daniel is decisive and Steve is skeptical. Some pointers around how to identify, and some pointers around how to connect with them. So if Daniel is decisive, he will say, hey, I got a hard stop in 30 minutes and I'm going to ping you in 25 minutes. He's going to be blunt, forthright, sometimes very abrupt. So for you, you may not be able to play a long rapport building, but you may have to just come to the point a little fast. However, be deliberate and attempt to build that rapport. If Al is analytical, she would be looking for some data points. Hey, what's the coaching impact? What is the latest ICF data talking about? How many entrepreneurs like me have actually gotten into new businesses because of business coaching? So we need to acknowledge that there has to be different strokes for different folks. And once we do this, the likability quotient goes up. They start to internally rattle and say, hey, I think I kind of like this guy. And you know, as clients, we always buy with our hearts and justify with our minds. Look at this, whatever we have bought, we may call it impulsive buying, whether it's coaching service, whether it's getting into an NLP certification, or whether it's a high-end thing, anything on your home appliances. You just bought this because you liked it. You bought this from this coach, from this store, because you just like that guy. And then back home, when your partner says, hey, why did you buy this? Looks to be expensive. You say, you know, it had so many things to offer. And then you talk about value. And that's justifying with your minds. Let us acknowledge that we all buy with our hearts. So the moment you up your likability quotient, they start liking you as a coach, and they start buying with their hearts. Trust, what does trust do? It reduces the risk and enhances the gain. Perception, the perception of risk goes down, and the perception of gain or advantage of working with this gentleman as a coach goes up. For this, we just need to understand the motivators of the buying. Right? Is it a buying that's happening out of fear? Is he looking for executive presence because he has been on a improvement plan and his manager has said, next meeting, if you don't open your mouth, you have no value in this organization? Now that's fear. Or is he buying executive presence because he really wants to move up the ladder? So we need to understand the decision motivators. We need to also understand the mode that he's coming. Is he coming from solving a problem, or is he coming from seeking a golden future? Why I'm saying this is, these are the things during our interaction, during the chemistry call, when we understand this spectrum, where is the spectrum of the customer that's lying, it sort of helps us to get more deeper into the trust element. And through this process, we can also understand some of the logical needs, like I need executive presence, somebody to coach me on that, because logically I want to contribute. I'm in the meeting, but something happens, I don't speak out the point because somebody hijacks the session and speaks it out. So I want to contribute to this organization, and in the process, when I contribute, I feel happy and fulfilled. That's the emotional need. I need to be speaking out, otherwise people are thinking that I'm the dumb guy in the room, and the emotional need is the dumb guy in the room may actually get fired very easily. So every rational need also has its underlying emotional needs. So we talked about buying mode, we talked about buying motivators, and we talked about buying needs. If through this conversation we can figure out a combination of this, you are uncovering the full set of needs and wants of your prospective client. And how do you do that? We are not in a coaching conversation. That's what came up. It's a blend of sales and coaching call. So we can balance advocacy and inquiry. Right? We can ask questions. That's what anyway we do as coaches, but we can also advocate, which is like setting the agenda. All of us, I think we know how to do a little bit of advocacy and then end it up with a question. Questions, I guess we all know that as coaches, we need to be as open-ended. So this is where we are using our coaching competencies inside this chemistry call, and we're saying, hey, I want to learn more that you have been running marathons for the last 20 years. So where do you get the motivation and the power from? And then you can get into more specifics and say, in that moment, in some of the moments of highs and lows, if you can talk about those, and then from there you get into the specific part of it. Do you see the energy that you gain from running is transpired into the meeting rooms? And that's a yes, no, maybe. So by doing this process, you are able to funnel some of the thoughts in the conversation. And again, this is ranging from problem solving to the future seeking mode. So that's the inquiry part of it. From an advocacy, we can choose to tell stories of similar clients without naming them. What was the client scenario of a client's similar needs? How did you as a coach help them think or act differently? What was that aha moment? And finally, what was the impact or the ROI? When you share stories are visual, and these are like 60-second stories, 90-second stories, because you have already done so many of your similar clientele coaching. All of you, I'm sure, works in a chosen niche, and that's where you will find similar clients, maybe a set of entrepreneurs, maybe a set of professionals, maybe a set of people who are willing to pivot their careers into something else. Right? So whatever your niche, you have stories to tell. Box it into this 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. What was the client dealing with? What did you do? What was the aha moment? And what was that impact? So balancing inquiry and advocacy. And then finally, you have taken the client. You've got all the needs and wants. And then you are taking the client to the brink and saying, hey, Steve, if you do this, what happens? If you do this with me, what happens? And if you don't do this, what happens? So what would the impact be? Somebody may say, if I don't increase my executive presence, there is a management council meeting coming up. And if I don't open up my mouth in the right way during the meetings, I think I have a difficult time ahead. And I may just be out of the roles. So what would the effect be? And all of us know, if I gain something, if I'm able to increase my business, if I'm able to prepare for my next journey as a career pivot, we all have from the question that while working in the organization, you're able to create a blueprint of what you're going to do for the next 5 years. What does that mean for you? What's that impact? And if I had to put a price, and that's, I'm sure all of you use this format, what would that mean? And normally the client says it's priceless. And so if you were to put a price onto that, and that's about, we have started now talking the importance of ROI in coaching. I think there are a lot of conversations that's happening, including ICF who are putting up. So can we put a money value of the impact as told by the client and say, hey, if you do this, and I think we are agreeing that this has a high probability of you reaching after 6 sessions, 12 sessions, this is what you will be achieving, which means X gain. And what's the investment? Especially for individual professionals who are sponsoring their own coaching, and ROI definitely helps because they are putting their hard-earned money. So that's the impact part of it. And then if you have time in that call, you can always say, Steve, just consider you have achieved this, right? And you're in your next meeting, and you stand up and say, hey, today I'm going to lead the conversation, and I'm going to orchestrate different stakeholders. And you tell your boss to shut down and leave the space for you. And you do the magic, because once you were just holding yourself back, and when you started, and this is what has helped you through the coaching perspective, you have moved this journey. What happens at the end of the piece? What happens? And they will say, I think at the end of it, people will come and say, hey, everything okay? You just made the magic. This was wonderful. And so can you paint the picture Because even after the money, the impact, the ROI, there is this little piece of actually visualizing the day when I'm able to achieve that competence, when I'm able to achieve my next pivot, career pivot, or when I'm getting to achieve my next coveted partner, whatever the segment of coaching that we are, how does life look like to me? So paint the picture and make it visual. And once you do that, then you are differentiated. Katya, you started this. Then you are differentiated. Differentiated not just from the overall distinction that I'm a PCC living here with such and such experience of working with X clients. That's the overall distinction. But they will also create a perception of scarcity. She is the only coach that have spoken out of the three who have taken me through this process and have this ability and has already worked with that set of clients. And that's the perception of scarcity that gets moved in. And as individuals, primal instinct, we don't want to let go something that is so very scarce, right? And that's where I will say, hey, I don't think I need to talk to some other coaches. I think I'm going to sign up with you. Can I give you an advance? Right? So how do you actually build that perception of scarcity through this no-like model? And while doing that, coaching is somber, but sales and coaching can have some fun, some serious fun. So use the best of your humor abilities, right? Because humor does all that, a lot of competencies that we talk about in the ICF, creating the safe space, evoking that awareness, the openness, the psychological safety, the deeper presence, all of that. I just try to put in some acronym to humor. That's something very, very personal. You will not find maybe, so it may not be the best of it, but I just try to put in some meaning. H for healing, U for unlock, and magnifying opens and reframes. But whatever that sense, this can actually do a lot of world of good in a chemistry call. And how do you do that? Some of you have these innate abilities. I use this in a deliberate mode. I use a little bit of punning, right? Wordplay, wordsmithing. Maybe I've been deliberately practicing this, so there has been some bit of I will call it fluency that I have gained, but I'm not a master and I can't teach you on this. So, if somebody is juggling between multiple work and says, hey, I think, I'm just caught up in 3 projects, 5 geographies, I don't know. And say, yeah, oh, so good. I'm sure you must be a magician. So have you ever patted the back for this? I remember in my school days, my teacher used to throw me out of the class and make me stand out. And I felt I'm the outstanding guy. That's fun, right? That's wordplay. Sometimes you can make it self-deprecating, which is like give us, like the one that I said, outstanding. I put some of my personal experiences, gently making fun of myself. I can refer to a funny moment. I had a coach who was like 7 feet tall. A client who was 7 feet tall, and I'm 5 feet 6 inches. And I was like shaking my hands, and I said, in India we have some Swamijis. He said, those who are brave always look up. So glad to meet you, Rakesh. Now that's my way of shaking hands, saying, not the long and the short of it. I don't feel bad if you are tall and I'm short. So observational metaphors, I think that's something that a lot of us use, but think about some of the funny metaphors, right? Somebody just told that, hey, it's trending nowadays. Everybody's talking about being burnt out. Looks like that's the latest fashion. If you don't say I have a burnout, it's like fear of missing out. Right? So make it playful, not the dark side of it, but I'm sure there is a sense of levity in all of us. My invitation to all of you is just to invoke that and practice. It may be a bad joke we don't want to be comedians. We don't want to be jokers, but we can always invoke some bit of humor and put this in slice of the conversation. It's a huge subject by itself, and I intend to do further work onto this piece. My LinkedIn profile says that I'm a humor activist, and I don't know exactly what it means. I have just put it up because I thought that people saying environmental activist, this activist and that activist, maybe this may work. So when all of this happens, your client says, hey, Kaushik, when do we have our first session? I like you. I think you were bang on. You understood my full set of needs, and you actually told me what happens when I am after my final coaching program. So gung ho, you get the sign up. So there is no like trust. There is building rapport with empathy, authenticity, similarity, and experience. There is uncovering the full set of rational and emotional needs. And how are we doing this? I ask a few questions and I tell a few stories, balancing inquiry and equity. If I do that, I guess we have moved quite miles from making the conversation become awkward to an awesome one with certain set of smiles in the room during the chemistry call. So that's where I am. And I know I have overshot by 5 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, people
I-
are. So if we could start wrapping up.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are reflection questions. You have some strengths, so what will you leverage in your next coaching chemistry call? Maybe take a note of it and you can always think about yourself. And there are certain things that need to develop. So what would you like to develop to create more impactful coaching chemistry pieces, right? Choose from the area, know, like, trust, that's one area of choice. If you want to say that I am not great in building rapport, but I want to do this, I have this little framework of ease. So maybe how can I start asking that open-ended empathy question at the beginning? I want to really improve upon that. So whatever is your choice. Could be understanding the buying modes and motivators. So Katya, I'm going to share this little set of
Okay.
this piece.
Okay, they've asked me, Kushik, if you are gonna share your slides. They found them very valuable.
That's right. I'm going to share the slides, so that's
Wonderful.
available. And
Okay, and that's your LinkedIn. I need to share the feedback form.
yeah, so I will stop sharing. That's my LinkedIn. That anyway, you can pick it up from the slide that I share as well. You can also email me on this. I'm going to stop the sharing and take a few questions if you have some, or I'll allow Katya to do the closing formalities.
Yes, we have a QR here. If you can please give us the feedback, that's gonna be very much appreciated. And thank you, Kushik. What a wonderful presentation. I've learned so much. It's been amazing, and especially when you have, it's so difficult for coaches to sell what they do or what we do. So it's very difficult. I hear it all the time. I'm really good at coaching, but I can't sell myself, no? So I think, and another thing, I think it's very difficult because of there's an ethics and feeling like you're pushing. I think that makes coaches feel very uncomfortable. No, I think that's one of the biggest struggles I see with my colleagues.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Katya, I'm going to share this with you in the email.
yes.
And maybe from there you can share it to your colleagues as well.
Okay, great. No, thank you very much. Really value all your knowledge and experience, and having that mindset as a coach and as somebody that is selling your business and your knowledge. So thank you. Thank you, everybody, for showing up, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for showing up.